Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be doing a guide to the Switch Axe in Wilds and also comparing it as to what it was in World. Be sure to leave it a like if you want to see more about the Switch Axe or other weapons, and let's get right into it. So getting right into it, spamming circle will put you into Wild Swing, and then pushing triangle while doing so will put you into the Heavy Slam. Which what the Heavy Slam does is it powers up your axe. Next up we got our triangle combo, which is this is what you'll be going for most of the time when getting your sword gauge back. Because in this game, you do not get your sword gauge back passively like you did in Worlds. So the main difference in World, and I didn't even consider this, is that you get back your switch gauge just passively in World, whereas in Rise you have to get it back attacking with your axe. I think I might like it more in World, to where it comes back passively. Also, there's like so much more like shaky frames, or like the distortion or whatever when you hit something, because like for one, the effects are so bright. I feel like a new addition to Wilds is this charge for forward overhead slash attack. This was a much needed attack for Switch Axe because it lacked so much in mobility in World that some people just called it bad because there were very to little escape options, which we will touch on that a little bit later. Brought back from the Monster Hunter World Iceborne edition is the Axe fade slash attack. I will admit, with the other mobility options Switch Axe has in Wilds, the Fade Slash I do not use as often as I did in World, whereas World had limited options. But it's still a good option for escape if you really need to use it. So for the wound attack that Switch Axe gets, you do a flurry of attacks, and during this you fill up your sword gauge pretty quickly, ending with a heavy slam that does indeed power your axe. And if you do this while in sword mode, it fills up your powered sword gauge, so you'll be able to get your file there, which we'll go into a bit later when we go over Unbridled Slash. Now, Axe mode does have an offset attack, and there are two things you can do as soon as you hit the offset attack. You can push triangle to do the follow-up heavy slam, or you can push circle and you'll do the sword slash, which I think, and don't quote me by this, I think may be like the biggest number you can get with the Switch Axe. You can do upwards to 500 to 600 damage just with that one hit. Granted, it does require hitting an offset, but it is still a lot of damage. Although most Switch Axe players will agree, I think going for the triangle follow-up heavy slam is much more stylish. Doesn't get you as much, but you look so freaking cool while doing it. Also, I forgot to mention this about wounds. During the entire slashes in Axe mode, you can push right trigger at any moment and go into sword mode. That way you can end with the zero-sum discharge or power your sword if you want. Now, going into the sword mode attacks, there is not much new, except there is a new best way to power your sword, the new best optimal combo. It starts off with, and this is mandatory for this to work, you need to start out in Axe mode, push right trigger instantly to go into your sword, do circle, I believe you push circle again, then once you're done with Heavenward Slash, go into instant zero-sum discharge. When zero-sum discharge is finished, push right trigger instantly to do Unbridled Slash, and even though your sword is not powered yet, that Unbridled Slash will power your sword all the way. Now granted, this really only works if the monster is down on the ground and not doing much, because you can really only get off this full combo if it is essentially doing nothing or the monster is not focused on you. Now going over Unbridled Slash in a bit more detail, it is Switch Axe's new strongest move, which zero-sum discharge is still good and definitely still has its place, but the coolest thing about Unbridled Slash is it is a direct follow-up to zero-sum discharge, or I guess only discharge, whatever you want to say. So there is a gameplay loop that Switch Axe has now that is different from World. It's less about having the Rocksteady Mantle, clutch clawing onto the monster, and spamming zero-sum discharge over and over again. Granted, that was a very, very great way to do damage, but it was not as it was not intuitive and fun, like, as much as it is as in Wilds. The gameplay loop this time is once your sword is powered up, like using the combo we just used before, if you have Power Prolonger, it makes this combo just that much better. If you have Burst or Charge up as well, this makes this combo even better. In my specific build that I'm running right now, I don't have it right now, but if you want those, you can. This combo revolves around, the way I do it is I do circle, circle, so heavenward slash into Zero Sum Discharge, into Unbridled Slash. At this point, you'll have no sword gauge, so push triangle instantly, or push triangle twice, I believe, actually. Then you'll have enough gauge to go back into sword mode instantly, and then you can just do Unbridled Slash by pushing triangle, circle, right trigger, and then you can just keep doing that. When the Zero Sum Discharge, or when the Unbridled Slash is over, just go into triangle, triangle again, go right back into sword mode, do Unbridled Slash, triangle, triangle, and you can just keep doing that over and over again, and you'll rack up so much damage. Now, I know we touched on escape options just a little bit earlier, but we're going to go into kind of a more broad conversation about it. In base world, Switch Axe, I believe, was terrible. I don't know how I played with it. You pretty much need Evade Extender 3, Evade Window, and Divine Blessing to make Switch Axe have any sort of viable defense. But then Wilds came along and gave you the Clutch Claw, to where I consider the Clutch Claw an escape option because, I don't know, because when you are spamming standing Zero Sum Discharge and then push left trigger, you'll then attach to the monster, which I consider that an escape option, especially if you're attaching to a part of the monster where it'll save you from getting hit. And then you have the Fade Away Axe move, and then as well as the Morph retreating back. Wilds has all of these, except obviously the Clutch Claw. The escape options that Wilds has is the offset attack in Axe mode, the counter in sword mode, which I didn't actually get footage of because I actually forgot to, but it has a counter, as well as the Axe Fadeaway Slash and the Morph Fadeaway Slash, as well as the Charge Overhead Slam. These all are considered escape options in my opinion, and the fact that Switch Axe has all of these, where like these 4 or 5 different escape options, whereas World only had 2, maybe 3, because the Axe Fadeaway wasn't that great, but it was enough. Just the fact that Switch Axe has escape options makes it so much better. So anyways, that is it for my comparison of the Switch Axe in World and Wilds, as well as my mini guide to the weapon. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like. I don't know how much more Wilds content I plan on doing, but for sure when the title updates come out, as well as the eventual DLC we will get. Anyways, have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.